Hello and welcome once again. It's always a pleasure coming away with lecture series such as these. I do hope that you're not merely completing assessment, assignments, and quizzes. You're not succumbing to any pressure, of any deadline, but you're actually enjoying this program. Maybe today may be the very last time we will be dealing with mere theory. So yes, I'm pretty sure. But beyond this, there are more demonstrations and applications. Most of you who have already secured your Office 365 licenses, we're going to put them to use eventually and pretty soon. It's always a pleasure coming your way as your lecturer. So without further ado, we'll hit it on the head in today's lesson. This lesson, we are going to talk about software and applications. Softwares and applications, I would say software and apps. Okay, I'm sure this name rings a bell. Hopefully at the end of this session we should be able to explain how applications are used in daily computing lives, how we use common features for productivity applications. Of course, this is going to set the pace for us to start doing some Microsoft Office, Excel and Word, and then hopefully some PowerPoints. We'll try our best to do as much as we possibly can. Okay, right, so these are the objectives. So we'll begin with how applications are literally used in daily commuting life. How they are literally used in daily commuting life. And we'll try to describe the purpose of each key type of app and explain the differences between native and web applications, and of course summarize the current trends in application development. This session is just merely informative as the previous ones. After our course is Introduction to Computing Studies, and so hopefully the message will be very clear to you. Now, if you look at the image down below here, we are literally pointing out three key things. Same document, but one is in Microsoft Word installed on your computer. The other is Microsoft Word being viewed online, and then we have the other one, Microsoft Word on your mobile app. This is the present world and life we live in right now, and we need to appreciate it as it is and understand why the variation, how useful they can be, and as and when you need to leverage on these things to make life easier and better for you. You'll come across some introductory scenario painted picture that is painted in the reading material, and I hope you might have gone through that already by now. Great. Now we have different purposes for every single app. We begin with application softwares. In the previous lesson we looked at a few things like operating systems, and a few other things like that. Now we are focusing more on utility softwares. We are focusing more on application softwares now. Basically, you can say that programs that help you perform specific tasks when you are using your computer or device. Any of these, it doesn't matter which ones you have been using every day on your computer, they fall under the category of a software, application software. But we can put them in several categories. We have the productivity applications, the ones that helps you create documents for businesses, for personal use, graphics, media applications, one that allows you to interact with digital media. These all fall under productivity applications. We are not pointing at any particular application by name or brand or developer. Okay. Then we have personal interest apps, the ones that gives one's tools to pursue your various interests. I'm a computer science person, but I won't go and install an application like what can I make mention? I don't even know whether you know about these applications. An application like none is coming to my head readily. A building technology, architecture. Okay, let me choose my words carefully before I bite my tongue. They have certain applications and tools they may be interested in. I'm trying to recall some of the names, but it's not coming off head. I'll have no need for it because I will do nothing with it. They have personal interest in it because they need it to get certain things done. And several other personal interest apps that you may want, but they all fall under application software. But this is one of the categories. We also have communication apps, which provide tools for sharing and receiving information exclusively. So we can have applications that fall under this category. And of course, we can also have device management applications, which provide tools for maintaining a computer or a device. Okay, so this is generally what an application software is and the various categories we can place them. But we have different types of applications that we can talk about. We have the local applications, we have portable ones, we have the web application based ones, and then mobile apps. I mean, they are self-explanatory. The ones that are installed on your computer's hard drive for easy access are what we are referring to as your local applications. The portable ones, you can run from removable storage, like on your pen drive. You can copy it and go and insert to another machine and then run it, or you can access them from the cloud. These are portable applications. The web apps are literally run from the browsers or even on a mobile device. They all fall under web apps. And we have exclusively mobile apps because they can only be accessed either on a smartphone or a tablet only. So these are the various types that we can make mention of. They possess several features, and it's common regardless of the type or category of application software. So they are all represented on the desktop by an icon or a tile, so that you can tap or double click to execute them. They can be run by double clicking or tapping, as I've made mention of. You can open them in a window. You can have menus that give you options to access different features on these programs. You can have buttons to click or tap to give commands to perform different actions, any of these things. And they are also available as both web and mobile apps. And they can synchronize data also for you. So these purposes of every app must run through anything that falls under that umbrella of an application software. So this is just general application software. When we narrow the scope and talk about mobile apps, we are talking about ones that we can touch the screen to interact with the applications, or we can use some on-screen keyboard to enter some information. Many mobile devices come up with pre-installed applications, and you can organize applications into groups or by categories. This is available at least even on the Android OS and then also on the Apple OS, regardless of your platform. And these applications are represented by icons on your screens. So they are there. You can we have highlighted App Store here, but the Google Play Store is also another alternative where you can find and download applications for yourself. Right, then when we talk about native apps, we are talking about an app that is written for a specific operating system and installed on a computer or mobile device. So when you hear this word at any point in time, don't let it sound abstract to you. Native apps, they are unique to specific operating systems. So if it is exclusive to Mac OS, that means that application can never run on Windows OS, or we don't even have a version of it in Windows OS, and vice versa. They can take advantage of specific features of such devices on which they are really installed. Okay, many of these native apps require an internet connection to provide full functionality, and some can even run offline and will store information on your device until there's a possibility to synchronize the information with the web, with the cloud. Right, so that's about the native apps. We also have the web apps, and so there are clear differences. These web apps can be accessed by visiting a website in a browser. They are not applications that are clickable or exclusive to an operating system, which probably could use a web connection to sync with the cloud or anything. In the case of web apps, we have to actually open the web application, the browser, to access or visit the website. And if it is a mobile app, we have a web app that runs on a mobile device. So you have mobile web applications that often have responsive designs. Okay, there are several of them. When we say a web application is responsive, literally we are saying that when you open, I'm sure you have experienced this before, there have been websites you have visited. When you open them from your PC, there are a lot of features that you get to see. And then when you open that same website with the same URL from your phone, they have different look and feel. Okay, I wish I could demonstrate. Let me see if I can demonstrate something similar like that for you to see. Just a quick one here. Let's see. Let's make this as practical as possible. So let me open my browser. I think I know a project I worked on for a client personally, which I think I can use. So this is the application. This is the website for the client. Okay. I worked on this particular project. Now look at how this application looks like, you know, the look and feel of this site and all. Now let me switch to a mobile version of it and let's see how it will look like. So I can go to more tools and then developer options. Yes. Now watch this closely. I'm going to toggle this into a device mode. So if you open the website in a mobile device, okay, the same website, this is how it will look like. Let me just open this one here as well so that you can see the differences. Okay, so this is the main website when you open it from the browser, as you can see from here. But this is how it will look like when you open it from the phone. Notice that the menus are all here, right from the main browser. But when you open the same website on the web page, you only have book, call, and WhatsApp. And then you have to click on this button to see all these menus that you see over here. Okay, so basically that is what we mean by a mobile web app being responsive or having a responsive design. Many developers prefer web apps since they run on all devices, and that is the future now. Like I said, this is just an example for application I made for a client. Some apps are available both as native and others too are available as web apps. Okay, so I hope this makes some sense. Now, what are the pros and cons of staying in such an environment? Well, mobile web apps can be created quickly, you know, compared to native apps. No two ways about it. And the cons here is that mobile web apps are not as fast and have fewer features than native apps or desktop apps. You can also access your information on the go on the mobile on the mobile web app, but poor design can also turn people away from the application. You can make voice input and smart on-screen keyboards to simplify interactions on mobile apps, but then typing using a small screen tool can be a bit cumbersome. So there are good sides and bad sides to all of these things, but that is for a user to decide and a business to also move in a particular direction they deem fit or necessary to tend to. So what are the current trends in application development? Well, we have the mobile first design, where developers build apps to work on mobile devices first because they have more restrictions, and it requires designers to streamline how people interact with their applications, and by placing content first and providing a simplified user experience. We have developers who use cross-platform development tools today. So it does not matter. We can run code for one application and we can deploy it on an Android OS, and then we can deploy it on an Apple handset. We're not going to bore you with much of these details, but because it's an introduction to computer studies, you need to come to terms with some of these things because you are using these devices, and the better you understand them, the more useful they become to you. So I don't want you to commit to this course as a mere requirements, deadlines to meet, grades to make. After all, it's 1 credit hour. It has, even if you fail, it has no significant impact on your GPA, except that a failure may require that you have to retake it. You get the whole point, right? Probably you've not done the math, but if you had, you would have realized how insignificant it is. Getting a C or a D does not even change much of your main grade. It's important to equip you with these solutions and the knowledge to make you successful in your journey as an academician. So take it in that faith. So we have mobile commerce or m-commerce apps too that let you use your mobile device to take online purchases of goods and services. We can make mention of Glovo app. We can talk about Bolt Foods, Uber Eats, Jumia application. You know some of these things. Yeah, these are mobile commerce and m-commerce applications that we can make mention of. Okay, now they have actually common features as far as productivity applications are concerned, and that is our focus right now. As long as it's productive, you expect that understanding of the features of these common suites must be uniform. We need to understand the features of common productivity tools. We need to use word processing software for basic word processing functions. All of these fall under productivity applications. So we have spreadsheets in here, we have presentation softwares in here. So like I said in the introductory section of this particular session, beyond this video, we are subsequently going to be jumping on into at least these three things: word processing software, the spreadsheet, and then the presentation software. In this case, we'll be using the Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, and of course the PowerPoint as typical examples of these three things that we have made mention of. So exciting times are ahead, and we have other productivity apps like the database softwares and then the graphic softwares, but we will only talk about these in this session, but we may not undertake any practical sessions or demonstration sessions as far as these two are concerned. But the first three that we've made mention of, we're going to jump on into them into detail. So for now, let's understand some of these productivity suites. We have various versions to install on the computer, others that can fall on the mobile applications, or others that can even run in the browser, from the cloud. And we have web and mobile versions that are often simpler, and contain the most basic and popular features. Some can be free, and others may require you to purchase them. And that is why they don't want you to worry your head over purchasing an office license, but getting you your due license as far as this course was concerned, to make life a lot more easier, because it's not for free. When it happens to also store documents on the cloud, it allows for collaboration. So it's one other thing that a productivity suite must bring on board. We have very many popular productivity suites. So in this table, we have outlined the various types of the various operating systems, the various applications that sits on them, and we have broken them into categories and various versions. So when we say an operating system that supports particular solutions, we can talk about Windows, Mac OS, or web apps supporting Microsoft Office. But when it comes to some of these native apps, Mac OS, iOS, or web apps, Apple iWork sits on only that. Apple iWork will not work on only Windows, any Windows application. Google Suite will work on any web app, and of course on Chrome OS. And then OpenOffice is available across platforms, so it's not native. It's on Windows, it's Linux, and it's Mac OS. And when we talk about web processors, we have examples like the Microsoft Word, Pages, Google Docs, Writer, for their respective environments. Okay, so as you can see over there, we can't talk about all of them right now. Some are available online, others aren't, and so on and so forth. But like I said, we're going to focus on Microsoft Word, Excel, and PowerPoint by way of demonstration. So we're going to highlight much on it. Now, if any productivity tool falls under the category of a word processor, then these are some of the key features we expect from them. Whether it is Google Docs, or it is Microsoft Word, or it's OpenOffice, you should be able to create documents. You should be able to create, there should be at the session point, there should be some scroll bar for us to scroll it from the top to the bottom of the document. We should be able to perform a lot of organization tools. We should have access to them. The document should be possible for us to protect it when necessary. They should offer a variety of options to create and format the document as well. As long as we call it a word processor, these features must be there. And so when we jump on into Microsoft Word, you realize that all these features clearly exist. I know some of you have been using these applications already, but we'll be digging a bit more deeper into them, and hopefully we may learn one or two things. Okay, now we also have the professional and personal uses for word processors. You can use them if it is the business executives, office workers, medical professionals like most of you, politicians. Then you may need to use some of these tools. You may need to use the word processor to create your agenda, your memos, your contracts, your reports, etc. It's for your personal use, like you're writing your project, completing an assignment, or writing a blog. Then you want to use it to create letters, greeting cards, notes, events, flyers, checklists, etc. Students would need their office Microsoft Word, for example, to complete their essays, their report, their stories, resumes, notes, etc. If it's a conference, you want to create business cards, postcards, invitations, conference tent cards, a host of them. And for web designers, of course, for publishing their web after converting them into HTML. So it's a decent tool for productivity across all facets of disciplines, as long as you want to be productive. Okay. Now, formatting is one key thing you should be able to perform in a word processor. Formatting the text typically has to do with just changing the appearance, the look and feel of the document, as I always say in my own words. So if I'm changing the font type, the size, the style, the color, and the other special effects, I'm literally formatting. I'm not tampering with the text. So I'm not deleting the text. Those events fall under the editing concept. So if I'm formatting, I'm trying to specify document margin. I want to adjust the page orientation. I want to specify some styles for the document, titles, headings, paragraphs, or sometimes I may even want to use templates for creating different kinds of documents. But all of these things are formatting tools without changing the content in terms of deleting, spell check, and stuff like that, which all falls under editing events. Great. So we have additional document formatting options, that we can make mention of, and we have listed a few of them here. You may want to go through them. But when we get to experience it practically, I'm sure you'll be able to appreciate them even more. When it comes to management of documents in word processor, literally we are trying to say that it's the fact that it offers us tools to edit, share, protect, and save documents is word noting, and that makes it word managing. Makes that word processor possess a management feature that we can all take advantage of. We can copy text, we can add graphics from one document to the other. We'll demonstrate more of these things as we make the needed progress. And you're able to store your documents on the cloud or store them locally so that people can read, edit, and comment, etc. You can even restrict access to a document by providing view-only link to some of these things. Okay. Indeed, it's exciting times, and we'll get to experience all of these things we have spoken about in Microsoft Word in due course, hopefully in the coming week. Right. Now let's talk about the spreadsheet. The spreadsheet. Clearly, even by word and by spelling, they are two different things entirely as compared to the word processor. Spreadsheet software. We didn't say Microsoft Excel. Okay. If it's a spreadsheet, then it should allow me to manipulate numbers, charts, graphics, text, of course, but not as Word would do, a word processor would do, but deal with data as well. We should be able to perform calculations on data that is stored in grid of cells and then recalculate these values automatically when the data changes. And this experience you'll definitely get from Microsoft Excel, which is one typical example of a software, a spreadsheet software. They comprise what we refer to as worksheets, which are laid out in a grid of rows and columns, and they use letters to identify each column and consecutive numbers to identify each of the rows. And we'll get a lot more demonstrations of these things in the next lesson, but we should have this information at the back of our minds. Now, they comprise what we refer to as cells, portions of the worksheet we make inputs on a spreadsheet. So it's a location formed by the intersection of a column and then a row. So when we talk about a cell location, we are talking about, if a cell is called B1, it's literally the column, the intersection of that column, say column B, and then the row, say 1, all meeting at one point, and that cell is created like a rectangular shape. We make it active, and then we move on from there. Right. What are some of the key features we expect from a spreadsheet? Well, we should be able to perform some formattings as we do in word processor, but of course it could be quite different in a lot of ways. Page layout and view features, printing features, web capabilities to share workbooks online, developer tools to add customized functions, and tools to analyze data. All of these things are key features of a generic spreadsheet software. They should be able to also offer us opportunity to manipulate figures by way of formulas, introducing functions, and then also allow us to perform some arguments. So we'll delve more deeper into absolute referencing and relative referencing in a later lesson. But these are things that we need to be able to have access to, features that we should be able to have access to as far as a spreadsheet software is concerned. We should be able to analyze data as well. Analyze data critically in a spreadsheet. So we should have a conditional formatting. For example, if there are duplicates, duplicates in a set of data, we should be able to use a conditional formatting to determine, using selecting, highlighting ones that are probably duplicated and others that are not duplicated. We should be able to sort and filter data. We should be able to perform what we call the quantitative analysis, identify trend lines or spark lines or pivot tables. Maybe we will not touch on these trend lines, spark lines, and pivot tables. Maybe. We won't talk much about macros, but these are certain features relevant and essential if we want to analyze data. So we need to automate worksheets with macros, and most importantly, creating charts. So we'll touch on the portions that are relevant to your academic journey and, of course, your career growth as far as these tools are concerned. But that is all we can say about the spreadsheet software. We can now also talk about presentation softwares. There are several types of them, and Microsoft Office PowerPoint is just one typical example. It can help you organize your content and create professional looking digital slideshows. It helps you display presentations in different views that we will also experience. You can add main points as bullet lists, graphics, or images. You can provide design ideas, and of course they possess the spell checking, formatting, researching, sharing, and publishing online tools and features. These are essential, especially spell check, because at the end of the day, the content of a presentation software is going to be viewed by an audience, and so if we don't provide spell check, you could have some grammatical errors and other issues relating to that. There are so many things we can add to a slide by way of content addition, and we have highlighted a few on how we go about these things. Like I said, there will be a separate session where you get to experience all of these things. So we have text in paragraph or bulleted list. We have graphics such as the line art, photographs, clip art, and at this point we are not specifically mentioning or focusing on a particular type of presentation software like Microsoft Office PowerPoint. We are just talking about generic tools of available in a presentation software, how we enter them, and of course what they provide. So you may want to go through, if you have used Microsoft PowerPoint before, let me know how many of these things you can easily relate to. Comment down all of these things in the comment section or leave me a message or something. If you know them and you want to keep them to yourself too, that is also fine. They are all equally okay. They also have formatting features, so you can select a presentation design, format the text, select the slides dimensions, the aspect ratio of how it should look at view, orientation, changing text direction, resizing graphics, adding smart graphics, etc. Most of these activities are available on the presentation software. Okay, so don't let them, they are not complicated as you may think if you have never used them before. Okay, you can also perform some transitions and animations, to wow your audience, use presentation templates and slide masters. We'll get to experience all of these things, having headers and footers, displaying the slides in the slideshow mode in a manner where it's not about editing but the full screen where every one of your audience is literally watching. You can also share by copying the HTML embedded code for your presentation. Anything that is technical beyond your scope, you can be rest assured I'm not going to bother you with it, but it's important to have this information. You need to also learn to design effective presentations. It's very, very essential. Organize with a beginning, middle, and an end in mind. You focus on one topic at a time and deliver on that. Choose appropriate backgrounds and colors and fonts. You don't overdo some of these things, okay? Because you are going to make a presentation. It should be as simple as possible. You must learn to use graphics wisely, use your animations and transitions also carefully. You must use your spelling and grammar checks efficiently and effectively. You may not get anybody to tell you these things, but I'm pretty sure by the time you've completed level 400 in this program, you would have had the opportunity to make some presentation, and you will remember that I once mentioned these things to you. You are not ignorant of them. Right. So if you want to deliver an effective presentation, well, then you have to check your equipment in advance, because it could fail you in the last minute. All right. Speak loudly and clearly to your audience. You must make sure you don't read the slides. Nobody likes that. If you are going to look into the slides and be reading it for us word for word, word for word, word for word, you're not even giving us your eye contact or attention, then what's the whole point? Even as I'm speaking to you, you see my eyes moving from left to right, and yet I'm making communication with my camera. You know, there is an idea I'm selling out there, and that should be my focus, even though my bullets are supposed to guide my presentation. So you should have more to say than what we see, but then what we have on the slide should lead us on to what you want to say. I hope this makes sense. So take notice of that. Don't read the slides. No panel likes that. Try not to stand behind the podium or in one place as well. Okay, use technology to enhance your presentation as best as possible. If you don't have a pointer, there are ways to use your phones to do these things. I may not get a chance to teach you, but you could find out some of these things. You can Google them, etc. I mean, there's a lot of things. You can get to know how long you have spent in your presentation. You can also determine, add some notes which will help you make your presentation much more better. Content that only you can see from your PC, which the audience may not be privileged to. And try to do a dry run beforehand. Don't wait till the final presentation moment before your audience shouldn't be the first to hear a presentation. You should have given it a chance for somebody to give you a second opinion to be sure that you indeed are on course and you are ready to go and shoot. So that is all we can say about presentation software. So far we've made mention of the word processing software, the spreadsheet software, and then the presentation software. We'll talk about the last two, the graphics and the database softwares, but this is where those two will typically end. Now, every application you have been interfacing with, from your phones to your PCs, course registration, etc., all of them, you are talking to a database application on the back side of things, which you do not literally see. You know, it's a collection of data organized in a manner that allows access, that allows retrieval, and that allows reporting of that data. So when new student is admitted, we are adding new records onto the system. When somebody moves from 100 to 200, we are updating the system. When somebody passes on or something and they need to remove extradited, etc., they delete the data. A database should be capable of allowing these activities to perform. We can also filter and sort and retrieve data from such platforms, and we can also create forms and reports about them. There are several applications that run on the back of databases. We have tracking contacts, schedules, possessions or collections, processing orders, tracking inventory, maintaining customer lists, and store customer relationship management data. They all represent a query. And the query we usually refer to as the SQL, structured query language. Now, because many users may need to access a database at the same time, they can be quite large. It is very, very important to note that. And so we have various forms of these databases, ones that we locally work with, one we would use depending on the size of users, and we also have the enterprise databases, which usually runs on a bigger server, not on a laptop or a desktop, because of the number of people. Imagine Facebook having a database for over billions of people who leverage on their services every day. So that should just give you a picture. We should be able to export data into other programs from, if indeed it's a database software that we are dealing with. Okay, where you can create charts to visualize data, we proceed accordingly. And we can also export to other formats, even including HTML. We have a format we refer to as JSON, but that's just technical. But literally, you can export your database into all of these things. One key thing to databases is the relationship that it presents at the back of handling usual requests and so on and so forth. We have referred to as the relational database, or the RDBMS, Relational Database Management System. It's a database in itself, and it consists of a collection of tables where items are organized using columns and rows. Microsoft Access is one typical example of a database, and it's organized into tables of records and stored electronically, basically. So the software displays commands and work areas appropriate to view for your desk. There's a new paradigm shift, and that's what we refer to as the big data, where we are talking about large data that is difficult to process using these relational database. And as a result, so many applications are gradually moving away from this RDBMS and moving on to more what we refer to as the MongoDB. But that is not for this class. Okay, right. Then we can talk about the various components of a database software. As long as the database software, we should have a field where each piece of data is stored. Those fields will have a name. Definitely, you should have tables, you should have queries, you should have reports, you should have forms, and that way you have total control over what you are dealing with and how you are going about handling issues on it. Just like the Microsoft, the spreadsheet or the Word, we have similar management tools that are available that we need to know. They enable us to control access, ensure data integrity, and minimize entry errors, prevent users from inadvertently changing or deleting important data when they need not have access. Controlling version issues, managing the database backup plans regularly, and of course establishing security to protect data from hacker attacks. These and many more can we say about database software. So that's just about it. The last on the bill is the graphic software, which we are going to just literally touch. If you can manipulate and print many types of digital images using series of applications, even including Paint, then that is another graphic software experience you have already had like that. So you have digital images that are stored either in bitmap, sometimes called raster or vector. Maybe you may not even come across any of these file formats before, but at least we are giving you some relevant information. When it comes to features, we can use mouse or stylus if it is a pen or something, on the drawing screen, like a crayon sort of. We can use the shape tools to create lines. We can use the color palettes to specify colors for various shapes. We should be able to add filters and effects to provide visual interest, added text to graphics, and cropping the size of an image, cropping or resizing an image. These are main features we expect from every graphics software by and large. And that's why we are making mention of it. And there are various popular graphic formats. We have the TIFF, the JPEG, the GIF, the PNG, the RAW, and the BMP. Most of those of you who are into photography may understand, might have heard of the BMP and of course the RAW. But the many of us who have been taking pictures with our phones and have statuses, etc., JPEG is the direction that we largely know. So we have various types of these graphic softwares. We have the paint applications, the photo and image editing applications, we have the video editing applications, and we have the drawing applications, all of which falls under the graphics software. So ladies and gentlemen, this is how far we will come in this particular session of software and applications. In the next meetings, in the next subsequent lessons, okay, I'll be coming your way with some other lecture recordings I've already done for the regular stream in my department, computer science, introducing it to Microsoft Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. And then you have an equivalent assessment that is much more suited for you in that manner. So on that note, do well to complete the assignments and then the quizzes that follow suit, and I'm pretty sure we shall all be fine. Enjoy the rest of your day.